now the first of tonight's reconstructions. It's the most controversial murder hunt in Britain. It's a case that's repeatedly made headlines and about which questions have been raised in Parliament. The murder of Hilda Murrell. Miss Murrell was 79. She lived in Shropshire and she was a rose grower of international fame. There have been suggestions that MI5 was involved in her murder, that she was under surveillance because she was an active opponent of nuclear power, or because during the Falklands War her nephew had been a naval intelligence officer at the time the battleship General Belgrano was sunk. Well, the police say the evidence points in quite another way. They're increasingly convinced the murder was a common burglary that went wrong. What you're about to see is based on the detectives' files and therefore on the police interpretation of events. You're going to see evidence that's never been shown before. It's almost exactly 12 months since the crime. The date, remember, Wednesday, the 21st of March.
Just before noon that day, friends remember seeing Hilda Murrell in the Abbey Foregate area of Shrewsbury. She'd been shopping at Safeways and drawn some money from a nearby bank when she was seen getting into her white Renault car. She'd only half a mile to go to the detached house in Sutton Road, where she lived alone. That lunchtime, however, someone may have got there before her. From what was later found at the scene of the crime, police know she put some of her shopping away. They also know that at some stage she must have gone upstairs. Hilda Murrell was apparently attacked inside the house and tied up while the intruder carried out a search. From the kitchen, one of her knives was probably taken, and though the burglar searched her handbag, he ignored a cheque card and chequebook, concentrating on the cash she'd taken from the bank that morning. The living room curtains were drawn, and as her attacker continued his search, he helped himself to a drink. Even at this stage in the escalating violence, her attacker may not have wanted to kill her. And in one of the strangest twists to the story, he forced her out of the house and into her own car. From her house in Sutton Road, the first landmark the car passed was a roundabout known locally as Column Island. It seemed to be heading straight for the centre of town. It was then seen close to the Monkmoor Road traffic lights. Hilda Murrell was slumped in the passenger seat and the car took a right turn away from the town centre. A couple of minutes later, at the far end of Monkmoor Road, it passed Shrewsbury Police Station, and half a mile further on, it was heading out into the Shropshire countryside. It crossed Heathgate's roundabout and took the final exit, travelling east. A couple driving towards town remember a white car swerving past them as it sped out into the countryside. The car was following a back route to Newport until it turned off into a country road called Huntington Lane. It was about this point along that narrow country lane that police believe Hilda Murrell, already bruised and battered, began to come round.
Sit still. Sit still. You'll get some of that. Some of that. Right. Hello. Hello. Get to...
We know from the tyre tracks that it was here that the car skidded off the road, and it's likely that Hilda Murrell was then forced to get out.
Get out!
Her attacker then began a frantic attempt to get the car moving again, shoving a book under the front wheel. It could have been at this point that she took the car's ignition keys. They were later found in her pocket. And despite her age and appalling injuries, Hilda Murrell may have made one last attempt to get away.
Oi! Oi! Come here! Come here!
Whatever happened, police believe that her attacker bundled Hilda Murrell off that country lane and into a field. Evidence found there seems to suggest she was stabbed and beaten as she was forced across the field and dragged towards a small coppice, where she would die some hours later.
Three days later, Hilda Murrell's body was discovered a quarter of a mile away from her abandoned car. Now, in that reconstruction, we were as accurate as we could be. We used Hilda Murrell's own car and, where possible, her own possessions. Her home, though, in Sutton Road has been sold and it's been changed inside since, so we used instead a neighbour's house. We do, though, have a picture of the real house taken when the crime was first discovered. The detective leading the inquiry, Detective Chief Superintendent David Cole, is going to take us through the scene of crime video taken by the police inside Hilda Murrell's home on the weekend that her body was found. Now, first of all, you have pictures of the breakfast room.
Yes, the first shots we're going to see are of the breakfast room. And these quite clearly indicate a search of drawers and cupboards. And we move on now to the table in the breakfast room, showing that her handbag and her purse had been searched, and we know that a quantity of money was taken out of the purse.
Now, no sign there, particularly of documents being rifled?
No, there were various documents within the house to do with her research into the Sizewell B project, and it would appear that none of them were disturbed.
It was, though, said that the telephone had been tampered with, that the phone had been carefully disconnected.
Yes, it was. There's been a lot of speculation about the telephone, and the next shot, I think, shows quite clearly the telephone as we found it and indicates that it had been ripped out, the wires had been ripped out of the junction box and had been ripped away from the wall. All the wires had been ripped out of the junction box, as you can plainly see in that shot.
Had anybody made any sophisticated attempt to bug the phone, as far as you could tell, to tamper with it?
None whatsoever, and that has been confirmed by GPO engineers.
Right. Now, we know that she went upstairs and that he went upstairs. What did you find when you went to the top of the house?
Well, there was a lot of activity upstairs, quite obviously. The next police video shot shows you the stairway, going up the stairway, and at the top there is a broken balustrade, and we believe that Miss Murrell may have been tied to that balustrade while the intruder was searching other parts of the house.
There's the missing balustrade.
That's
what happened to her then?
Well, she was then apparently taken into a bedroom, and we've got a still shot of the bedroom. We know that there was some violence in that bedroom and also sexual activity because of human semen that was found on an article in the bedroom, and also similar material found on an item of her clothing.
Miss Murrell was 79 years old.
Yes, this is a particularly disturbing feature of this assault.
Now, that doesn't make it sound as though it was an ordinary motive of going for papers, yet there have been some peculiar things going on, or so it seems. For example, her document she was writing to oppose the Sizewell B power station, the final draft is said to have been missing.
Well, that isn't so. I have in front of me the final draft that she was working on, and we've been able to check that by examining her diary. And her diary for the evening before her death quite clearly shows that this is the paper that she was working on that particular evening.
Do you have any other clues as to who did it?
Well, we have, yes. We have a number of people who saw a man in the car, and we recovered certain items from the car. I've got a couple of them here. We have a Hamlet cigar wrapper, which was found in Miss Murrell's car. She was a non-smoker. She was anti-smoking. It's unlikely that it belonged to anyone connected with her. And I also have a snare peg which was found in the glove compartment of the car, which
Looks like a
appears
tent
to be...
peg to me.
Well, it could be a tent peg, it could be a gamekeeper's or poacher's snare.
Right. Now, as you say, she was seen in the car with a driver. What description do you have of the driver?
Well, he's a white male. He's probably in his middle to late 30s. He's average to thick set. He's got medium brown hair. It's neatly cut. He's got a fringe. And he was wearing the anorak that you see on the picture there, and we believe it's got a D ring in the centre of the back. We also have a further description of a man who was seen running away later from the scene of the attack.
Now, what do we know about this
Well,
man?
during the afternoon, a number of people saw a man running away from the scene where Miss Murrell had been left. He was wearing ordinary grey clothing. He was wearing training shoes. He didn't appear to be particularly fit. He was running towards Shrewsbury town centre. We lost him, the last sighting we have of him is a place called Heathgate's Island on the outskirts of Shrewsbury.
Now, it seems that he didn't come by car to the house, otherwise he presumably would have gone away in his own car.
That's a distinct possibility.
How did he get there, and how did he get away?
Well, we're particularly interested in anyone who may have picked up a hitchhiker that particular morning and dropped him off at Shrewsbury. It's a very busy through route on the main A5 road. Her house was close by, and we're also interested in how he got away, and he may well have been picked up by a vehicle as a hitchhiker and taken away from Shrewsbury.
Any idea why he took Miss Murrell with him? I mean, clearly he wasn't intending to head for those woods. The car went off the road by mistake.
I'm afraid that's a mystery. Until we find him, we won't know.
Well, let's hope you do find him, Mr. Cole. Thank you. If you think that you can help West Mercia Police in any way, here's the number. It's 01811 8055, 01811 8055. As I say, you can talk to detectives on the case or to a BBC researcher. You can call West Mercia Police direct if you want. They're in Shrewsbury on 52617. That's 0743 for Shrewsbury, 52617.